The pandemic sending many wealthy New York families to the suburbs, and now private schools outside of the city are seeing a surge in applications suggesting that the flight could be permanent. Robert Frank, you got so many different ways of looking at what's really going on, and this is another example, I think, of what you've been bringing to us on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's a really interesting window. Now, nearly 250,000 students attend private schools in New York City, but Wealth Flight from New York is now creating school flight with students and their hundreds of millions of dollars in tuition flowing to the suburbs. Now, from the Hamptons to Westchester County to Connecticut, private schools around New York say applications have more than doubled this spring and summer from last year. The Greens Farms Academy in Westport, Connecticut typically has about 25 applications in the spring and summer. This year, they had 69. Only about a dozen will get slots since they're now full.
A school like ours, we have 44 acres. We're able to have kids outside. We're able to take advantage of small faculty-student ratios. So I think ultimately it's a quality of life and not something that they would view to be a short period transition, but something that they'd make a commitment to over the next several years.
Now, some Manhattan schools are seeing an enrollment decline of between 10 and 20% in the fall. The average tuition, guys, in Manhattan right now is $50,000 a year per student. And while Manhattan schools are still debating those fall plans, many schools in the suburbs say they will open in the fall. And that's the big difference, guys.
Hey, Robert, is that the big difference just because the schools in the city don't have the space to be able to spread out and the schools in the suburbs do?
It's the space, it's the money, and it's really the ability to have all this tracing and equipment. Private schools in general have more money. And in the city, they just, even though they have the small class sizes, they just don't have 40 acres to spread the kids out. So that is the big reason. And there's just a lot more certainty in the suburbs when it comes to the health and the path of the virus than there is in New York City.
So all these wealthy people who are trying to get into schools in Connecticut and the Hamptons and beyond, what do they do when they don't get one of the slots that are there? Do they, oh gosh, go to public school?
Yeah, oh gosh is right. And obviously the public schools in those wealthy areas are terrific. And so that is exactly what's happening. I'm talking to a lot of the public schools in the Hamptons and parts of Connecticut. They are seeing an increase as well. Unclear whether this is going to be permanently, let's keep our kids in these public schools for the rest of their terms, or whether this is just for a year or so. But this shows that once your kid is in a school, that means you're not coming back to New York City in the foreseeable future. So big impacts on New York City real estate, on the economy, and of course on the tax base.
Yeah, and those private schools, too, in New York City, I guess they're feeling a pinch with this. If you don't come back this year, do they then turn around and let you come back a year later? Or if you leave them in their time of need, you're out?
Well, Becky, you know how hard it is for kids to get into a private school in Manhattan. So the fact that parents, especially these wealthy families, work so hard to get their kids in and are now taking them out shows just how serious and permanent this decision is. I don't know whether a lot of schools will take back kids to just leave for a year, but that just shows what a major life decision these wealthy families are making. And it's not just camping out in Connecticut for the summer. This means they are out for the foreseeable future.